It's been a minute. Welcome to episode 51 of Bonfire Man. So what is Bonfire Man exactly? Well, it's an experimental Snowflake Iron Man account. This account started when I asked the question, how far can you get in RuneScape if you're only allowed to interact with everything exactly once? So once you've chopped a tree, it's exhausted and you can never chop it again. Turns out, did the math, can't get very far. So the next question was, how do we add a mechanism that lets you respawn things after they've been exhausted? And I thought about the bonfires from Dark Souls. You rest at a bonfire, everything respawns. So here's the pitch. We start locked to some number of chunks in the game. I have to exhaust all of the content in those chunks exactly once. Then I get to randomly select a new chunk. When I pass into the new chunk, I rest at a bonfire, respawning all of the exhausted entities in the old chunks. Now I have to do all of that again in the new chunk and the old chunks. The general goal is to just see how far we can take this. I'd like to unlock all the chunks in RuneScape, but I think that's going to take about 10,000 hours to complete. And this account is, by necessity, much more experimental than most Snowflake Iron accounts. This is the part of the video where I speak the forbidden RuneScape words. This account has a flexible rule set, and you click off the video in a rage. But in all seriousness, we need to have flexible rules for the account concept to even work. If you want to check out my rationale for all the existing rules, check out the Google Doc in the description. Let's get to the playthrough. For today's episode, we're heading over to the Tower of Life chunk, which according to all of my research is a reroll chunk. None of the content there is technically new. We've chopped all of the trees that are there before, and we've gotten all of the item drops that are available, even from the creation minigame in the basement. So I'm going to be crossing the fog wall, skipping the bonfire, but doing everything there is to do in that chunk, including the Tower of Life quest, and then we'll roll another chunk, and I have no idea what that's going to be. All right, here we are at the chunk border. I'm going to go ahead and cross the fog wall here. There you can see, unlocked a new music track upcoming. Now I guess I'm going to explore. I brought everything I need for the Tower of Life quest, so I may as well do that now. And I'll go over what we have to do here. Oh, there's, I guess, a second music track for getting close here. That's interesting. I don't think I ever appreciated that this is like due north of Fishing Trawler of Port Gazard. I've never come this direction to get there. So here's the task list for this chunk. There's 9 imps, a necromancer named Invrigar who drops nothing, a necromancer who drops nothing, a summoned zombie who has the same table as regular zombies, 52 trees, 12 oaks, 13 willows, the Tower of Life quest, and these builders are interesting. They are technically pickpocketable NPCs. However, you can pickpocket them at level 1 thieving, and they provide 8 thieving XP, which is the same as a normal man. And they technically, instead of producing coins, they produce triangle sandwiches. I already have access to triangle sandwiches. They're not new resources. I've got a couple of them from the Sandwich Lady random event. So we're going to call them as pickpocketing NPCs degenerate with a man NPC. Presuming we can complete the surface chunk, which I think we can, unless if there's something I can't get to on a chunk border or something. That means I'll be able to pickpocket each of these builders 28 times each and potentially have a ton of triangle sandwiches for no reason, which is a little silly. And to review the spawns down in the tower basement, the Newt Roost, the Unicow, Spideen, Sword Chick, and the Frog Eel are all spawned using items I already have access to and drop items I already have access to. The satchels they drop are not like a gear upgrade or something. And I cannot spawn the Jubster. It does drop Jubblies, but you need Jubblies in order to spawn it in the first place. So it would be double dipping to say that the Jubster requires me to light a bonfire in this chunk. Once we get to the chunk that lets us actually get the Jubster, that itself is going to be a bonfire light. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the quest plugin and knock this out real quick. Talk to Effigy first, it looks like. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I really like the chat head on the Robes of Ruin. Looks pretty great. For the purpose of the quest, I have to pickpocket no fingers. I think while doing it during the quest, I'm guaranteed to get the boots. Then after the quest, I can go for triangle sandwiches. This isn't going well. It's a 1 in 4, I think. There's a tweet from Mod Ash about it. There it is. Builder's boots. Okay. And it gave me 8 thieving XP, which means these guys are degenerate with men NPCs. Looking pretty snazzy here. I was reminded of how miserable and slow this quest is during Leagues 3. Just gotta search all these boxes over and over. You got a lot of music tracks here, it looks like. I think I remember this puzzle. That'll be later. Is that the calibration stage? Yeah, this puzzle. Right, you're trying to deal with the leak. You gotta like move the balls to plug the leak. I love these little quest diagrams like this. Like you're trying to like make the water fill the pipe so that the little ball plugs the leak, right? You go back. Incredible. Just over here digging for pipes one at a time. Just find 6 individual rivets in this crate. All right, fixing the next machine. This is a fun janky UI too, having to like click this arrow constantly to move it around. I think the point with this one is that there's only one way that these can all fit. Interesting, I think you only have to rotate the one. Remember when the Beekeeper random worked like this? I'm really glad they changed it. Those were dark times. I like how he nods approvingly whenever he actually finds the item he's looking for. Oh yeah, this cage puzzle. Right. It's so weird. You have to like fill in these specific gaps, I guess. Oh, you have to make it the right length. Okay, that's an interesting puzzle, I guess, actually. I think I did this one without the guide when I did it on my main account. Cage is complete. Okay. I think we're gonna get the cutscene with the homunculus now. New music track, creature cruelty. Whoa. I think it's really cool looking. Cool to get a sequel to this quest at some point. You know, the alchemists suck because they're mean to the creature. Poor little guy. Oh, I forgot about this. You're like trying to keep him in the world of magic. I think you can do one or the other. There's a lot of running back and forth and talking to these guys. All right, so I'm spooking them, right? New music track in the basement, mutant medley. I think I just have to talk to the homunculus. That's when I complete the quest. Brought some items to make the sword chick, just because you need it for a diary step. There we go. You have completed Tower of Life. 1000 construction XP, 500 crafting, 500 thieving, and the ability to do creature creation. Neat. Which is neat. It's kind of a weird... I've used it before on my Group Iron account to get more red spider's egg, but it is kind of strange, ancient content. It mostly just lets you duplicate some of your resources. Nice if I had some map markers. Maybe I can make ground markers to remind myself what everything is here. All right, this is the one that I brought with me. Swordfish raw and chicken uncooked. Activate. Sword chick, the one I can kill this cycle. This is a really bad trade, by the way. I'm gonna say we're still calling this a skip with the Jubster, but I can't 100% complete this chunk because I can't kill the Jubster, which means that I'm gonna have to do these other 5 every single cycle, which means I have to spend a raw swordfish every cycle. Medium task in the Arduino area complete. Okay, cool. Showing the loot tracker, it did. Oh, look at that. The builders even are listed as man in the guide there. We've established that exhaustion is suspended during quests. I should be able to pickpocket this guy for real now and get a sandwich. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. I guess I'm going to end up getting 28 times 4 sandwiches now once I complete this chunk. That's pretty silly. They only heal for like 6. Okay. And know that the 5th one is the one I did for the quest that gave that dedicated item. You start marking these complete. So the sword chick is done, the quest is done, the builders have all been pickpocketed. I'm gonna go deposit stuff down in Port Gazard and come back and work on the trees. It actually makes me really glad that I've made an effort to hold on to giant frog legs. I only get them from those 3 giant frogs in the Lumbered Swamp Caves, and they don't always drop them. And they're a hassle to pull out of there, but I've kept them all. It produces 5 eels? I bet very few people have ever summoned the frog eel. And now I'm going to have to do it every cycle. That's pretty funny. I'm going to do that first, and then I'll work on the trees. All right, this is probably the only one that real players do. Sardine and red spider eggs. It's really great, like, enemy sprite. All the eyes on the sardine. It's extremely silly. Mark these exhausted. I guess arguably because I have to use resources to trigger these, they're kind of like an anvil. I don't know, I feel like having to do them once per cycle is more interesting though, rather than having unlimited access to them. Some of the resources I have to feed into them, I effectively have an infinite number of anyway. All right, so this one's the jubbly bird and the lobster, which I can't do. I think that requires recipe for disaster. It's not a chompy bird, it's a jubbly bird. Feather of chicken and eye of newt. I've never done this one. I think this produces newt roost. That's an incredible looking creature. Okay, I got a tea flask added to the collection log. No tea in this flask. Basically just waste bank space. I don't think they really matter at all. I think one of the flasks, or maybe it's the satchel that you can get, you can technically equip it in the offhand, but it's kind of just like a, it's like a cosmetic. And I think you can put the triangle sandwiches in it. Definitely is not going to change my life in any way. I believe this one is the unicow. I could maybe see doing this one to get unicorn horns. That seems reasonable. Oh, that thing looks awesome. They really should expand this quest. It would be funny. All right, this is the craziest one, the one I think probably no one ever does. I wouldn't be surprised if like fewer than 100 players have done this. A bunch probably did it when the quest first came out, but like to date, there's no way. Activate. What does this thing look like? Oh my god. Thing's incredible. And this gets me more cave eels, which are not very useful. Maybe they were intended to be used in a potion or something. All right, that's the last one down here. This is as much as I can do in the tower basement. I cannot call it complete. 9 cave eels? Are they serious? Holy crap. All right, so now I'm gonna fight these guys up here, and then we'll do the trees last. I don't know that I've ever been in this building, unless maybe it comes up for a quest or something. Okay, so there's a necromancer out here who's dressed differently, but I think he degenerates to a monk of Zamorak. He has a similar drop table. That's the downstairs necromancer. Drop some nature runes. Ingrivar the necromancer. A separate necromancer. All right, Ingrivar is dead, and then I have to find a summoned zombie? Oh, super weird. This is one of the only entities that works like this. It's specifically summoned by the necromancer guy. Just occasionally, I guess. I don't think while you're fighting him. Oh, I'm really glad I'm going to complete this. I'm going to complete the surface chunk, so I won't have to do this again. Because I think that means I put 1 summoned zombie, but I think I have to kill 1 summoned zombie from each of the necromancers. And it says they just summon it occasionally. Wildly, the dude downstairs hasn't respawned yet. Like, what's his respawn timer? It's longer than most bosses. This is crazy. I didn't even know this content was here. I'm just gonna punch him really quick just in case he needs to be aggroed to summon it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there wasn't like an animation or anything. He just kind of pulled him into being. Attack the summoned zombie. That makes me interested. I'm going to tag it. I assume that if he summons it again, it'll be the exact same entity. That's so strange, though. Like, I can't think of anything else in the game that works like that, where somebody summons a creature. Okay, that is a different zombie that the guy downstairs spawns, so it is more than 1. And he doesn't have a zombie drop table. He just drops bones, but he can also drop the zombie champion scroll. Has anyone gotten the zombie champion scroll from this guy? It has to be like reported by Jagex or something. I don't know how anyone else would know that. Oh, interesting. He's not tagged. I'm not gonna kill him here. That's he can spawn more than 1 at a time? That's new. You can spawn several of them at a time, but none of them are the one that I tagged previously. That's so strange. Okay, well, I think we're just gonna call it 1 for Necromancer, because we can't have, I mean, it's shitty infinite resources, but we can't have infinite resources, so. There's supposedly 9 imp spawns in this chunk, which is crazy. I've never heard this listed as a place to go imp hunting for like beads for imp catcher, but that's quite a bit better than a lot of other locations. I think Arduin here is actually rollable. I wasn't sure if this area was able to be walked on, but it looks like there's a 1 tile wide sliver that gets into Arduin. That would also be great. So we could roll either Arduin or Yanil, and that would let us finish Enter the Abyss. So that's a 1 in 25 chance now. There's so many imps here. I had no idea. I might be killing even more imps wandering in from a nearby chunk, so I think I see more than 9 total. That's okay, I'll just kill 9. I don't know where they actually spawn. Okay, I'm down to just the trees. Do that now. Almost done here. Just gotta get these willow trees. There's a good number of them over here. Somebody chopping these willow trees? Seriously? Oh, there's totally somebody here. I guess they're walking from the Arduin bank? That's so weird. All right, here is the last thing in the chunk. Victory achieved. Tower of Life surface chunk is complete, which means that I'll be able to deplete these oaks and these willows in the future and skip the 52 regular trees. I probably will not bother with the Necromancer, the Summon Zombies, or Invergar. I will continue to kill imps until I get the imp champion scroll. I gotta get as many of those in as I can. This is one of the ones, I think 2 of these wander in from an adjacent chunk, so I just ended up marking 9 of them. Oh, it's time to roll another chunk. Let me pop back over to the chunk picker here. Okay, back at the chunk picker, same notes as last episode. Note that this is a high priority chunk now because it'll let us do Guardians of the Rift finally. So is this. Arduin Market. I think there's a few other interesting things there in addition to that, but that's probably the thing that I would be most excited about right away. Just barely in that corner. And this one, the monastery, is a bush patch, which is kind of cool. And I guess all of the clock tower quest and all of the monk's friend quest. I don't know if that's a reroll. I'd have to look closer at it. These just became available, so I haven't had a chance to analyze them. Still hoping for South Taverley. But yeah, give me Arduin or Yanil. That would be really, really hype. Let's see what we get. Brimhaven. Right on. Okay, that is definitely not a reroll because of the agility arena. The agility arena is huge for this account. Massive. And I'll talk about why once I get over there. All right, coming up on the border with Brimhaven over here. This is pretty exciting stuff. All right, here we are at the chunk border of Brimhaven. Let's go ahead and walk in. Here we are in Brimhaven. You can see the music track unlocked there, High Seas. I'm gonna go ahead and light the bonfire, or I forget. Right, and of course we gotta rest at it. Cool, everything has been respawned. Right, so there's a lot going on here in Brimhaven. It's gonna take me a while to get the task trackers set up to represent all the things we can do. Several interesting things, but I think the thing that's the most important is the agility arena. So I believe I talked about this earlier when this chunk first became rollable, but the agility arena is the way agility is going to be reasonable, how it's going to be even possible that we will ever get 270 agility for the Pulled of Niche course and for the Quest Cape. I discussed this with my council a long time ago, actually. I think when we first rolled Karamja Volcano / Tazar. How do you adjudicate the agility arena? Because there's a whole bunch of obstacles down there. Do you jump over each obstacle once? Do you tag all of the ticket dispensers once? None of those really make sense because the way the minigame works, it sends you to random ticket dispensers every single time. And it would force you to either get no tickets ever, which is contrary to the Bonfire Man philosophy, or at best you'd only get like 1 or 2 tickets and you'd end up not doing most of the obstacles because you wouldn't, if you're not allowed to repeat obstacles, you wouldn't be able to get anywhere. So we want to do the spirit of Bonfire Man, which is making this a limited resource. I can't just go into the agility arena and train as much as I like, right? It needs to be finite in some way while still in the spirit of the minigame. We're going to make the limitation based on the number of ticket dispensers that are down there. There are 18 ticket dispensers, which I think means I can get 17 tickets since you don't get a ticket for your first lap. So 17 tickets per cycle still is not a lot of agility XP, but it's a significant boost in what we were getting previously. If I just turned all of those tickets in directly, it's something like 4,000 XP. I'd get slightly more if I saved them until I had 25 tickets, 100 tickets, or even 1,000 tickets. I don't know if I'm going to be able to save them. We will see. 1,000 tickets would be 59 cycles, like 59 bonfire lights. So more than we've done to date for the entire playthrough so far. What I can probably do is save my tickets until they would give me a significant agility level. And a significant agility level would be some kind of content unlock, like a rooftop course. More agility levels would obviously be nice for run region, but I think getting more XP per ticket is pretty crucial, even if I don't save all the way to 1,000 tickets. I think that'll be the rule. Just 17 tickets per cycle, save the cycles as long as possible, occasionally do the calculation, how much XP would I get if I turned all of these in at once, and once I calculate that it's going to get me to an important breakpoint, then I can turn them in. There's a bunch of other stuff here too, a bunch of enemies to kill, that kind of a thing. So I need to compile all of that and add it to a tracker. Anyway, I got a bunch of work ahead of me. I'll be back. Hey folks, I'm back. I've got the task list set up over here. It's actually mostly just PDM on the surface. Some of it is related to the Heroes quest, so I don't know if I can actually get to it outside of that quest. Obviously can't fish the Karambwan for some time, and I need to have Arduin to do Tribal Totem. So not too much to do on the surface. The main thing we'll actually be doing is the Agility Arena. And when I went to add this, there's a discrepancy between what's on the wiki and what's on the chunk picker. The chunk picker says there are 24 ticket dispensers. The wiki says only 18, and then the object search website Chisel that just searches the game's database directly says that there's 18 plus 6 for a total of 24. So I guess I'll just have to go in there and figure out how many there actually are. If there's 18, then I'll get 17 tickets per cycle. If there's 24, then I'll get 23 tickets per cycle. I'm not a high enough level to do this without food, so I'm going to have to pop over, grab some food, and give this an attempt here. You know, I suddenly have a feeling that I have to pay to go in here, don't I? I sure do. 200 coins. Okay. Oh, I'll come back. All right, third time's the charm. Obviously, the way the game works, it's going to send me to different ticket dispensers. I have no control over that, so I'll just try to mark them to count them. All right, new music for the agility arena. So I believe I have to go to the first arrow. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, not a great start. I'm already falling. There are definitely 24. The wiki is incorrect and the chunk picker is correct. It's a 5x5 grid and there's not one in the entrance. So I can't abuse obstacles for XP. That's a pretty common thing to do, to just run back and forth between obstacles once you have your ticket. I think that that's cheesy for this account, so I can only go in the best route I can possibly take in between ticket dispensers. It means I have to kind of wait in between them. Theoretically get my first ever ticket here. Okay, that's one. New item, agility arena ticket. So now I can get 22 more of those, and I'll update on the math once that's done here. I believe it takes a full minute for every ticket, so this is potentially AFK-ish. Maybe do some editing in between tickets as long as I can always make it. We already have that rule for pretty much all other content. Like I don't get to attempt pest control ones. I get 1 pest control clear per cycle. So obviously I can't abuse that to intentionally get extra agility XP from failing, but I should make a good faith effort to do it all in one run if I can. So while I'm doing this, I was doing some more research, trying to figure out, okay, when should I use these tickets? And I think the answer is relatively soon. If I get 50 agility natively, I can do the Rogue's Den. And the Rogue's Den obviously is super important. The earlier we get it, the better, so we can start working on getting a full Rogue's outfit. I need to do the calculation of how many tickets I would need to cleanly hit 50. I'm obviously going to save them until, you know, one turn in is going to get me that. Barring that, I think that saving up 100 tickets at a time is pretty reasonable. That's like 5 cycles to be able to turn them in versus, you know, 50 cycles, which is more than, well, it's the same as what we've already recorded to date. Regarding Rogue's Den, by the way, I think my ruling is I can complete it once per cycle, so long as I get a drop at the end of it. I think the Rogue's Den gives like horrible thieving and agility XP, but I'd likely keep doing it each cycle after getting the full Rogue's outfit, just to get a little bit more XP in both of those skills, but definitely agility. All right, whenever the next one moves, that'll be my last lap. I'll have my 23rd ticket and we'll pop out of here. I think each time I do this, I should calculate what agility level would I be if I turned in all of my existing tickets, and I'll just do that once per cycle. I'm probably going to save at least until I have 100 tickets, though. I don't think I can get close to 50 agility otherwise. I guess it depends how well the rooftop courses go. There we go, 23 tickets. That's the last one. So there's a total of 5, 10, 15, 20, 24, minus 1 because the first one doesn't count towards a ticket. Ended up getting about 1,426 agility XP just for running around, which isn't bad, but it's not great either. I think the bulk of the XP from this comes from the tickets. So this is the interface for this. Saving to 100 makes sense. 1,000, possibly not. Probably not. Although it would be great to get more XP out of it. I kind of need the agility levels now to do things now with the account. So I guess since I don't get 25 per cycle, I can't quite turn that in once per cycle. I could do, if I wanted to get XP right now in an emergency, it would be 2 turn-ins of 10 and 3 turn-ins of 1. So let me figure out what that would do to me. If I turn in all these tickets now, I get about 6,500 XP, which would be enough to get me to 48 agility, but not enough to get to 50. So we'll keep an eye on it. Depending on how my other rooftop courses go, it might actually make sense to buy the 25 tickets next cycle just so that we can get into the Rogue's Den a little bit earlier. I would like to go ahead and finish everything else in Brimhaven now so that I can start working on the rest of the cycle and namely get to some shooting stars. They're going to drop in about an hour. So I got to go get my combat gear because I think combat is the only thing I can do. There's lots of trees and stuff here, but none of them are choppable. Also, I updated this here to say 23 tickets. So yeah, it's pretty nice. You know, our good skills are getting like 100k XP per cycle, like smithing. So an extra 6k per cycle is not really that big of a deal. A bunch of pirates and pirate guards. I haven't looked at their drop tables. Right, the pirate guards are bones only, unfortunately. Actual pirates have slightly more interesting drops. The iron plate body is a 1 in 128, so unlikely to see that, but that's pretty nice for Giant's Foundry. It looks like the pirates do roll the rare drop table, so like a 1 in 41k chance of getting the dragon spear that I would like. Probably not going to happen, but it's nice to have more monsters that roll that table. The thief, for example, which is a comparably challenging enemy, does not roll that table. Kind of neat that there's a regular pineapple plant here that you can gather. This doesn't generate any XP, but I think there's a certain number you can pick from it before it despawns. I'm going to drop these. I just wanted to test that. So yeah, it's 5 pineapples. I guess there's not a lot of content in the game that behaves like this. I'll just say that I can only pick 1 for now. But if we ever complete the surface of Brimhaven, then I can, you know, pull all 5 off of it. Looks like there are 4 such plants over here. Oh, maybe 5 actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? 5, yeah. Kind of annoying. There's some enemies that spawn across the chunk border, and there's all this foliage here. It's really hard to get to them without accidentally crossing into the other chunk and presumably unlocking the music track for it. Did eventually get all 3 snakes that spawn over here. I don't know if it's possible to get all the monkeys. I think some of them might spawn in ways that I can't reach without rolling that chunk. I'll keep looking. I definitely can't get all the pirate guards. A lot of them are inside this building along with Grip, which I think I need the hero's quest to even be able to enter. And I guess since, you know, you can only be on 1 team, I'm not going to be able to kill everything in this chunk regardless. So we're not going to count everything from Hero's Quest as required to 100% the chunk. But we would have to get far enough in Hero's Quest to get in here and exhaust the ones I'm allowed to exhaust as the Shield of Arav gang that I joined earlier. I keep seeing a lot of imps in here, but according to the chunk picker, they don't actually spawn in Brimhaven. It looks like they can teleport in from nearby chunks. I will not be including any of those. Attacking the rats, since it's my first time coming here, I'm going to ignore them until we actually have to complete it, though. 2 such rats. All right, so it's possible I've already done everything I can in the chunk. I'm going to do a quick sanity check here. I killed all 18 pirates, all 4 thieves, all 3 snakes. There's 1 pirate guard I can reach that's outside the building up here. I need Hero's Quest to get in here, and there's this door that is technically in the other chunk that I can't get to. I'm down a couple monkeys, but I don't know that they're possible to reach. I know that that means I can't kill the guard dogs, Grip. I think there's an extra 6 pirate guards inside this building. 1, 2, 3. There's Grip. 4. The other ones might be upstairs. I can't get to the 3 guard dogs. So I just need to find out where the monkeys are. I've only killed 2 monkeys, and I should be able to kill 4 monkeys, or at least 4 monkeys should spawn here. Sounds like they immediately wander into another chunk, though. I found a 3rd monkey. There might be a monkey over by the door. I'll check that here in a second. Oh, I found it. It was by the gate over here. Okay. So I've killed everything it's possible for me to kill. I'll probably update this to reflect that I can only get to the 1 pirate guard, and I can't get to Grip or the guard dogs. Item spawns are next, which is mostly beer and beer glasses. But for what it's worth, most of the glasses are not accessible based on where they are listed on the table. Okay. All right, and then the chunk picker says I need beer glass, bronze axe. I got all that in this room. Bucket of water and coins spawn somewhere here. Okay. All right, well, the bucket of water spawns in that house that I can't get into due to not having the adjacent chunk. And the coins also spawn in there, the little treasure room that I can't get into. That's cool. Then we are done with Brimhaven, or as done as I can possibly be. I'll try to update exactly what I can and can't do. Let's do the rest of the cycle here. I think I want to start with agility. Now that getting to 50 is so crucial. I'm going to try to do the Falador course last, just in case I manage to squeeze out a level on the Alcarid and Draenor courses. So I think I'll go to Alcarid and see how that rolls. Probably not going to get as lucky as I did last cycle. That was insane. Okay, everybody, let's talk about the chunk map. There should be a time code in the description and play bar if you want to skip back to the playthrough. First up, we've got 100% completed chunks. These are chunks in which we've exhausted everything there is to do at least once. When we 100% complete a chunk, it makes all content in that chunk optional on future cycles. And a handful of exhaustible skilling nodes work differently in 100% completed chunks. Trees can be chopped until they turn into stumps, fishing spots can be fished until they move, thieving nodes can be interacted with 28 times each. Shooting stars can be mined to depletion. Technically, any mining node that can be mined repeatedly until it depletes would count here. It's just that every rock that we currently have access to can only be mined once and then it depletes instantly. There are a few other pieces of mining content that involve depletion. The one I keep talking about in episodes is Motherlode Mine. When you start mining veins in Motherlode Mine, you can get multiple pay dirt before the vein actually depletes.
This isn't relevant right now. Right now I'm only tapping each vein a single time in the Motherlode mine, but if we ever 100% complete that chunk by mining every possible vein that there is to mine there, including the ones on the upper level, I would then be able to mine every vein in the Motherlode mine until it depletes, which would be a skyrocket in the amount of like coal that we get every cycle. That's probably still a dozen or so cycles off, but it's going to be really exciting when it happens. Back to the rest of the 100% perks. Agility, we can run rooftop courses until a Mark of Grace spawns, and shop stocks in 100% completed chunks refresh every cycle, so we can buy them out every time. A couple new things here from last episode because we finished the Falador East chunk finally. I can now mine the Shooting Star in Falador East until it depletes, which means we have now about half of the Shooting Stars available in Asgarnia. And I can run the Falador Rooftop course until a Mark of Grace spawns. I'm still not 50 agility, so I'm going to have to use agility potions to boost to get up there. Fortunately, I have a bunch of agility potions from the Dr. Jekyll random. I get clean Irrit leaves from running Sorceress's Garden, turn them into Dr. Jekyll. Should be able to be enough to get me up to 50 agility. We also get access to a bunch of extra pickpocketable guards and men in Falador that are just going to be reflected in the totals. After our 100% completed chunks, we have to look at chunks that we cannot 100% complete. The first category are quest-blocked chunks. We can't complete these because we need to do a quest to get to some of the content in the area. The most recently rolled chunk, Brimhaven, would be a quest-blocked chunk. It's also a chunk-blocked chunk because there's a room that we can't get into until we roll the chunk to the north. But that's not going to matter until we can do the Hero's Quest, and we're not going to be able to do the Hero's Quest for a really long time. We have to do Dragon Slayer 1 as a prerequisite. After quest-blocked chunks, we've got skill-blocked chunks. This is down by 1 because East Falador has been completed. It was previously blocked by the Falador Rooftop course, but we got so much agility XP from the Al-Kharid Rooftop course last cycle, I was able to get to 47 and then boost to 50 to run that course once, and we have exhausted everything there is to do in that chunk. As for the remaining skill-blocked chunks, we need 70 agility for the Polnum Niche Rooftop course, which is slightly more reasonable that it could happen now, having unlocked the Brimhaven Agility Arena. But since I can only get 23 tickets per cycle, we're still talking like dozens of cycles before we get there. The construction-blocked chunks have master stashes in them, which require 82 construction, which isn't going to happen without some new source of construction XP like Mahogany Homes. The pest control chunk in the south there, that symbol is the combat level symbol that they added to the game recently. We need combat 100 to do the veteran lander. And Silvaria has Rag and Bone Man 2, which we don't need to complete to finish the chunk, but we do need to meet the minimum quest requirements, and that includes 40 Slayer, which we're currently working toward with Lamping. On the topic of skills, I'm still blocked on Slayer with a Desert Lizards task. I need to roll one of these 3 red chunks to be able to complete that. Next we have item blocked chunks. I can't do either of these chunks in the Soul Isle until I get a bird snare and a big fishing net. And then finally chunk blocked chunks. The majority of these chunks are not able to be completed because there's content on the edges that I can't get to. But a lot of these chunks are just blocked by not being able to get into South Taverley. Each of these chunks has some piece of content in it that requires herb lore in order to progress. Usually it's quest prerequisites. And there's nothing else blocking us from being able to do those things. We have all the other necessary chunk unlocks. We just need to unlock herb lore. So you can see that a lot of chunks are dependent on finally rolling South Taverley. And I think that's it for the chunk map. Let's go ahead and get back to the playthrough. All right, I'm going to do this course. We'll see how long it takes for the Mark of Grace to spawn. I should also check how many Marks of Grace I have. I might be close to being able to get a graceful piece. I feel like I should probably just buy a piece when I can afford one rather than save up for a higher tier piece, but I'll have to think about that, I guess. Oh yeah, technically last cycle I got to 30 marks, and that's enough to get the graceful gloves, which coincidentally are the most efficient thing to buy first anyway, so I will get those. It's a slight weight reduction and a very slight run energy restore boost. Really glad they changed that up so it's divided across all the pieces as opposed to needing the full set for it to do anything, which is the way it originally worked. It's not necessarily incompatible with my existing fashionscape. I don't really wear gloves right now, so we'll see how it looks. I'm up to 12 laps so far, no Mark of Grace. Pretty decent. I think 20 we said is the average. I'm on the 20th lap here, so still no spawn. We'll do a little bit better than average again. Oh, never mind. It actually spawned on lap 20. That's great, though. That's exactly average. I don't deserve the luck I got last cycle again. All right, buying my first ever piece of graceful after many hundreds of hours of getting one Mark of Grace at a time. We will get the gloves. Cool. New item, graceful gloves. It looks
silly with this setup, but that's okay. Waiting on a shooting star here. It's growing on me. I don't hate it. I think the weight reduction basically cancels out the weight of my Fashionscape. I wish most Fashionscape items weighed nothing, just because it kind of makes you not want to carry anything just to save on run energy, but I'm sure it's fine. All right, got my first shooting star for the cycle. T8, let's go. Not sure if someone's formally called the cops here, but 2 people did just show up. We'll see what happens. Ended up being about 5 people out here, so didn't get a ton of time out of it. About an hour, it's not too bad. I'm about to start the Draenor rooftop course, really hoping that I can get a level up here. Getting to 48 is going to make the Falador course a little bit easier to do. I won't have to spend as many agility potion doses on running it repeatedly until a Mark of Grace spawns. Well, didn't get so lucky on the Draenor course. I'm glad I'm getting lucky on the Alcarid course. This one's not as important. Lap 7 it spawned. So I will not quite hit the level up, but I might be able to squeeze it out from other sources like the Basalt Steps, the Monkey Bars. We'll see. 41 XP to go. Basalt Steps, Draenor Stepping Stones. Oh, I can do the Varrock rooftop course. Doi. That'll get me there easily. I'll just go do that. All right, should get the level here soon. I don't know how much XP each of these nodes gives. Agility 48. I think that's extra run region, which is nice. I'm about to do the agility course here in Falador in a second, but I wanted to redeem all of my Stardust from last cycle. As far as the value, 1.5 mil, pretty solid. We'll see what it does to the banked XP plugin here. Currently not projected to get any level ups, but after I bank all this stuff, I'm guessing not, yeah, still no level ups. Decent chunk of XP though, 31k to 81. 82 kind of matters for, can finally start doing Black D'hide if we ever get access to Black Dragons. But 84 is probably the most exciting thing on the horizon. Maybe make a region bracelet if I find some way to get a ton of Tokal to buy an Onyx. All right, let's do this. Curious to see how many laps I can squeeze in before the Mark of Grace spawns. I am not 20 levels above this. In fact, I am 2 levels below it. So the chance of the mark spawning is fairly high. I think this is one of the agility courses with a lower average spawn rate for them, but I'm expecting 5 to 10 laps maybe. 10 would be amazing. Well, I fell again immediately. Well, not lucky this cycle. Looks like it spawned on lap 3. Now, there's the mark. All right, 3 laps is still more XP though. Yo, I'm in Puro. I'm gonna go get my Implings. Episode 49 is not out yet, so once again, if y'all agree that I should change the way I do Implings, I will make up for it in the future. But I can catch too many Implings and make up for it later. I can't catch too few Implings and make up for it later. All right, next young Impling I catch is going to be a level up for Hunter, and then I can catch Gourmet Implings. I need to figure out how many are here under my current rules. It'll be 10 on the surface, but I'm not sure how many in Puro. Here we go, Hunter 28. Now catch Gourmet Implings. Wonderful. I'm going to finish up the young Implings first. All right, working on catching my first ever Gourmet Impling here. That's not it. There we go. 22 XP. They give like no XP. Baby Impling gives 18. The young Impling gives 20. The Gourmet gives 22. This is not a good way to train Hunter. All right. I think I can catch 32 of these. So 1 more than the young Impling down here. All right. Here comes a level up for Hunter again. 29 Hunter. I think we can bare hand young Implings at 32 is the next interesting level. Earth Implings are 36, which is a really long ways away. All right, I'm all done in Puro. I forgot that when you turn in baby Implings into jars, you can actually turn any Impling into a jar. So I accidentally turned 2 of my Gourmet Implings into jars, which is a waste. But I'm going to open all my other Gourmet Implings here. The most exciting drop from their table probably is the Chef's Delight. I need to save up, I think, 8 of those to be able to make a keg of it in my house, which would be really nice. I have a total of 30 of these to open here. The curry leaf is potentially significant. I believe there's some, I don't remember what item it is, but there's some farming thing that uses curry leaves for protection. I'll look it up after this is done. All right, loot tracker. This is what we got out of it. Didn't get any Chef's Delights. I think the curry leaves and maybe the chocolate cake are the most interesting. I think the chocolate cake is needed for a quest that I could potentially roll in case I don't get other access to chocolate cake like a bakery stall before then. Oh, farmers will watch over watermelons, although I can already protect them with a flower, so that's not that helpful. All right, well, not super exciting then, just Hunter XP. And not a lot of Hunter XP. 1946 total from catching everything in Puro Puro that's available to me. That's 34 baby, 31 young, 32 gourmet implings. And I have this baby impling on the surface pre-marked because I have to skip one because I made a mistake last cycle. Working on the shooting star over here at the Dwarven Mine. Actually got the full 2 hours. While I was doing it, I got a mystery box. I'm gonna go grab a Ring of Wealth to open that. All right, mystery box. A cabbage. Got another star here at the Mage Training Arena. Best star I could find this wave, or best star S-Jill could find this wave, thank you S-Jill again for your help, is tier 2 at Alcreed Bank. Working on chopping my regular trees here, about to hit 84 wood cutting. There it is, 84. Breaking up my wood cutting here, really close to being done with regular trees, but got a shooting star here at Southeast Varrock Mine. Oh, Impling Only is over here, mining this same star. Hi, Impling Only. She has some really great series on YouTube. All right, got my first ever shooting star in East Falador. I might get a farming level here at these Hammerstone hops. I'm pretty close. We'll see. There it is, farming 51. It's super early in the morning, so I'm giving Calvarian a stab here. I'm guessing how early it is doesn't really matter if there's tons of bots, but at least I can spook bots by showing up in the room. I'm just gonna let it record so I can focus here. I'm guessing most of the rooms I go in are gonna have somebody in there. Oh, first one did not. All right, well, that's a good sign. Remember to switch to Crush, that makes a difference. I feel like the dogs are more annoying than Calvarian. Remember to get out of dodge when he's about to phase transition, because I got stacked out pretty bad last time. By a wide margin, the best that phase 1 has ever gone for me. I've taken very little damage. I guess it helps that I didn't have to run a whole bunch of times to get in here in the first place. Normally I have to run constantly because there's somebody in every room. So it didn't come in here already at half run energy. A little bit messier at the end, but still much better than all my other attempts. All right, let's see what we get here. Wine of Zamorak. Oh, and 3/4 Blighted Super Restores? Can't do much with that for a very long time, but it's an interesting drop, I guess. Guess I need to figure out what I'm going to use these Blighted Super Restores for. I probably can use them at Calvarian, but I don't really need them for the fight to be possible, so maybe I'll hold on to them in case I get some other more difficult wilderness boss. Waiting on a shooting star here. I think I'm going to spin all my, well, most of my flax into bowstrings. I have a decent amount. All of that is from the Beekeeper random, 250. I'm just going to use it on my unstrung U longbows to get a little bit extra money here. Got a star here at the Champions Guild. It's like insanely early in the morning, so maybe I'll get lucky and no one will walk past it, but it hasn't happened yet. Oh man, I actually made it for the full 2 hours on this guy. Well, there's 5 minutes left, but Champions Guild's usually a rough one. There's usually people popping by it constantly. Got another one here, probably gonna hit mining 91 on this guy. A couple other people showed up at the star, but 91 mining should pop, like now? 91 mining. Exciting level I can now boost to get Amethyst. I probably will because I have plenty of Dwarven Stouts. All right, I have 33 Dwarven Stouts with 12 more on the way for this cycle from the Burthorpe shop. So I'm going to see how much of this Amethyst I can mine with it. And do each vein one at a time. Not going to actually be able to use these for a while. You need a really high crafting level to be able to turn them into anything. But I'll start banking them. All right, got my first Amethyst door. That's cool. About 1 boost per Amethyst. That's okay, though. I should have enough to get all of them, I think. I am burning through these Dwarven Stouts pretty fast, so I'm going to end up using more than 12. Although, this will be the only cycle I have to, because I think between the remaining shooting stars this cycle and the ones I'll get next cycle, I should be able to cleanly hit 92. I'll wait to do this until the end of next cycle, I think. Yeah, so there's a total of 26 veins over here, and I will have ended up using either 19 or 20 stouts to mine all of them, which is pretty nuts. Not sustainable to boost every cycle. Fortunately, I won't have to. Yeah, final count was 19 Dwarven stouts to get all 26 amethyst rocks. Getting back to Motherlode Mine. Hopefully we get lucky on nuggets. All right, first pay dirt sack here. We've had some really good luck with these in the last couple cycles, so I expect to get hosed here. Yeah, it's not hosed. You should get about
Every time you check it, if there's 3 full inventories of pay dirt, I think you should get 3 golden nuggets on average. So it's below average, but it could still be okay. All right, second sack. Can we do better? Okay, that's better. That gets us to average. So I'll be happy if I don't get any more nuggets. All right, last pay dirt sack here brings us to a total of 8 nuggets for this cycle, which is above what we would expect. It's really good. Up to 80 nuggets. It's getting close. We get just a few more cycles like this, we'll be able to do the upper level, and it's gonna blow the lid off smithing XP primarily. I'm really excited about that. All right, I'm heading over to the dig site to work on my soil. Again, just keeping stuff that I can turn into plate bodies and plate legs for the Giant's Foundry. Interrupted from working on soil to do this star at Soul Wars. Hello, it is a genie. Thank you, sir. I will happily put that on Slayer. Haven't seen one of them in a minute. Finally finished up all of the soil. I'm going to report how many bars I get for the Giant's Foundry from that here in a second. All right, repairing him over here. Oh, mithril plate body right off the bat. That's pretty solid. Here is the haul from soil. See the count here. Oh, wow, pretty good this time. 72 bars just from plate bodies and plate skirts and legs. Another 5 from longswords, so 77 bars. Soil is really good for what I'm doing anyway. Not for any other account in the game, probably. Hey, there's Runecraft 46 making my lava runes. 2 body runes, that's nice. So with fletching 80 being a really important milestone and me being really far from getting it just with logs, I'm considering turning most of my cut gems into gem tips just to try to squeeze out some more fletching XP. Might not be worth it, but I'm going to try to do the math on it. I'm likely going to leave behind 500 of each gem for other purposes like jewelry and just turn the rest of it into tips. I have to calculate like what it's actually going to do for my fletching XP because it might not be worth it at all. Wow, it's like 130k. If I'm trying to leave behind 1,000 sapphire, emerald, and rubies and 500 diamonds, it's like 130k, which isn't a lot given how many of these goddamn gems I have. I don't think that gets me close enough to the level to be worth it, honestly. Yeah, that just gets me to 78. Holy crap. I guess I get a little bit more if I can actually attach them to bolts, but I don't have enough bolts to do that. I can got 1,054 adamant bolts, so I could like split half of those into ruby bolts and half of those into diamond bolts, but I don't know. I guess this is a good backup. I absolutely need AFK thing. Something I can maybe even do on my phone because it's really slow. Like, not quite as long as cannonballs, but it's like, 75 seconds for a full inventory. I will not be doing this targeted this cycle, but maybe if I need AFK, I'll do it later. I'm about to get a thieving level up here. There we go, thieving 68. Nothing. About to start working on fishing for the cycle, so I'm just going to check fishing trawler to see if I get lucky and get another piece. Okay, let's see if we got lucky here. Get it? Probably not. Nope. Okay, we're nowhere near dry yet. I got really lucky getting one on my very first pull. So we've done 6 pulls, so we're not going to be dry until we get to 24, I think, at a 1 in 12. Hey, would you look at that? Fishing, 69. Heading off to Temporos. All right, wrapping up here. We'll see what we get from our 10 permits. There we go. Bye, Temporos. Hopefully we get good luck here. All right, let's see what happens. Nothing this time. Take more spirit flakes, though. I'm back here at the Tower of Life. I'm going to get my 28 pickpockets per guy. I know we started with this chunk, but then we rolled the bonfire and they came back. I think that's 28 times 4 triangle sandwiches. Yeah, they're already added onto my man list because they just count as a man every time you pickpocket them. So it's going to be tricky for me to keep track of how many these are actual men that get... I guess I could use the coin pouches to keep track of it. So there's 500 coin pouches across all the chunks I have access to men. And then 28 times 4 triangle sandwiches. I guess plus 4 from the ones I got before lighting the bonfire. Don't know who out there in their right mind is going to be pickpocketing 28 triangle sandwiches, but whatever. Maybe I'll find a use for them. They heal 6 HP each, which isn't bad.
All right, last one here, 116, well, 112 for the cycle after lighting the bonfire. Triangle sandwiches, it heals 6 each. I'll find some way to use them. It'll be funny to just build a collection of them, though, over the next many, many cycles. Got my last panning point over here. Plain mud. Ugh. All right, headed into Soul Wars. I really need coal. I'm finally running out of coal because I haven't been getting it in the last couple cycles, so hoping for a drop. Pretty crazy crowded people heading in here. First game went really bad. 28 zeal. That's not good. 37 zeal in the second game. That is more than 60 total. We have exactly 90 tokens. I had enough extra from last cycle that I will be able to get 3 Spoils of War, so that's nice. All right, really hoping for coal here. Pretty dry on coal at the moment. That is not coal, although I'll take the Runite bolts. That is not coal. Actually, a pretty bad pull. That is also not coal. It's too bad. I will put bolt tips on these bolts to get some more fletching XP, but I'm down to like 59 coal. It's getting pretty bad. Need a quick 20 minutes of AFK, so I'm getting my Castle Wars tickets in for the cycle. I don't know why the Castle Wars arrow stays in my head when I leave until I hop. I'm over here making bolt tips. I need some AFK, and so I've never gotten this pop-up before. Makes sense. They're usually more valuable for other things, but I will make 1 inventory of them to put on my Runite bolts. May as well. I got a Quizmaster random. We'll see what we get. I got my Ring of Wealth on here. A diamond.
All right, I have really stretched it to make this happen, but here is fletching 78. I guess I can make magic stocks now. I am nowhere near 80. It might be like 5 or 6 cycles until I get enough logs. Even with all those gems, like the gems take forever to cut, and it's like barely 100k XP. About to get a defense level here. Defense 66. This is where I was originally planning to switch to ranged, but I'm actually going to stay on attack, strength, and defense with the intent of trying to get to 100 combat for pest control. So I think I just want to maximize level ups. Hard to decide. I feel like it's generally smarter to like focus on doing more damage, right? Leveling up strength, but it's so much more XP to get a single strength level up versus a single attack level up. Oh, unfortunately, this guy was hit by somebody else. I'll think about it for a second and report my thoughts. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate attack and defense levels until attack gets to 80, and then I'm going to focus defense to 80. And hopefully hit points will be 80 by that point. And I believe if all 4 of these skills are 80, that's 100 combat, or it's pretty close to it. I might have to do some prayer training. Got 4 more shooting stars to work through. Here's the one in the West Swamp. Got a shooting star here at Port Khazard. Hello, got a dunce here. Will happily take an exam. Thank you, sir. All right, first we're going to pop that on Slayer here. Well, there's a ways to go. All right, I'm back at the Tower of Life. Again, as with other content, we didn't light a bonfire when we came here, so after I lit the bonfire, everything refreshed, so we got to do this one more time. I guess I'll just report the final payout from these. Some of these models are really good, but I think this one might be my favorite. Very silly. All right, this inventory here is the final return. You got a lot of Eyes of Newt, 2 tea flasks, which are useless. Haven't gotten a satchel yet. Nearing the end of the cycle here, I got 2 more shooting stars to do. Gotten a decent number of these quiz randoms lately. Well, somebody called the cops partway through this star, but it happens. All right, I had to pop out for a Ring of Wealth to open this mystery box. It is a boot. We're doing Calphite Queen. Phase 2. Pretty solid phase 1. All right, killed KQ. Oh, 250 gold ore is a pretty good drop. That's one I've been waiting for. I have to decide if I want to save that until I get the goldsmith's gloves. Finishing family crest is pretty unlikely to happen anytime soon. I'll think about it, but it's a nice drop. About to get 60 construction. I need to double check the construction level up table. I don't think any of these levels matter until I get access to teak and mahogany. 60 construction, you can now build a throne room. Okay. Wrapping some stuff up here at the end of the cycle. I got to do Giant's Foundry. I will I will certainly get a smithing level pretty early. I'll get the new mold and see what we can do with it. This should be smithing level up. Smithing level 80. Can now make adamant battle axes, god sword blades, but I can boost now to get the last mold, so I'm going to do that. Okay, it looks like this last one is flat is the main bonus. So we go shop, unlock, excellent. And I don't need it for this commission. Gotta say, it's really exciting to finally have all the molds. With smithing now, I guess the main objective is to get to 85 so I can start using rune here. I think this might be the best possible commission in the game. Light flat 2742. I kind of want to do my worst possible sword with the best commission just to see how much that's worth. Yeah, it looks like it is the best commission with 69 points. Nice. All right, a perfect bronze iron sword. 7260 smithing XP, 14520 coins. Pretty solid. Usually I went from the best mold combination to the worst mold combination in the game. Light flat is the best one at a score of 69, and broad light is the worst one at a score of 49. This is my last shooting star for this cycle here at the Edgefield Ditch. Interesting, I got a genie here during Giant's Foundry. Thank you. I don't think I've ever gotten one while doing a sword. Slayer, please. Thanks. I got the really good commission again, so I'm going to try making my best sword this time instead of my worst sword. Mithril bars plus adamantite. Well, the quality meter at the top looks pretty full. I guess having runite would be what would fill it the rest of the way. All right, here is the best possible sword I can make until I get to 84 to boost to use rune. 18450 smithing XP, almost 37k coins. Pretty nice. All right, here we go. Thank you. That's all I can do. 125k, not as good. It's just because I'm running out of coal, so I really desperately need some coal from like a Maze Random or Soul Wars. Or it'd be great to get the 750 coal drop from Barbarian Assault, but who knows when that's going to happen. All right, y'all. Got enough points to pick up the high gamble, and then I'm going to have to do the annoying low and medium gambles. We'll see. Give me something good, please. I'm begging you. 255 law runes is my first good high gamble result. That's really good. How many law runes do I even have in the bank? Yeah, that accounts for a pretty significant percentage of the law runes I own. I've been saying that there's good stuff on this table, I've just never rolled into it until just now. Popping out for my ridiculous mid-wave gambles here. Doing defender and attacker points. Medium items. Defender. Mystic Lava Staff. Well, it's not good, but it's also the only way I can get that, so it's not the worst thing in the world, I guess. Low gamble. Iron Ore. That's actually not horrible. I can turn all of that into iron bars. I'd rather have the coal drop, but... Alright, I'm done with Barbarian Assault. This is probably my best cycle ever in terms of gamble results. I mean, it's still not crazy exciting, but Mystic Lava Staff is cool. Law Runes are cool. The Iron Ore is really cool. I might actually be able to get some use out of that before I close out this cycle here. I might go ahead and make that and go back to Giant's Foundry. All right, smelting up the last of that 200 Iron Ore drop from Barbarian Assault, and then I'm going to pop back over to Giant's Foundry to use the bars I can. Then we just have Pest Control and Last Man Standing remaining. That extra Iron Ore drop from Barbarian Assault puts us a little bit closer in line with past cycles for smithing XP gain. 147, 445. I'm going to head off to Pest Control. All right, starting with the Novice Lander here. Finish the Novice one, heading into Intermediate. All right, Intermediate Lander's done. I now have 35 points. I think I need the Void Knight gloves for the full set, right? The top, the robes, the helms, and the gloves. So I might theoretically be able to get the gloves sometime in the next lots of hours. All right, the only thing left for me to do here is Last Man Standing. So here is the supply tracker. I think it is accurate this time. I figured out what the problem was with it carrying over supplies used from prior cycles. 28 law runes used, using lots and lots of Rings of Dueling charges, which is great. I probably need to start slowing down on farming because I don't make enough super compost to make up for my usage per cycle. And yeah, 26 Dwarven Stouts. Hopefully I can bring that number down next cycle if I can actually get to 92 mining natively. All right, first game's going really well. I actually won my first fight that I fought in good faith, and it wasn't against someone who was AFK, which is usually how I win my first fight. Either I find someone who's AFK, I find someone who's like a bot farming for points, just hoping that they randomly match with randos and don't do anything, or I get my first kill by getting a really lucky DDS spec. But here, it was a real fight. And of course, I didn't record it because it's almost never actually a real fight. All right, 3 points from the first game. Ended up getting caught out towards the end. You get 4 points if you end up being second place. All right, I just have to stay quiet and stay in my little spot here until it gets down to 2 survivors, and I'll have my 7 points for the cycle. I thought the big climax of all of my Bonfire Man videos is just me being a coward and Last Man Standing, but it's one of those things where it's like,
I'm not really incentivized to try. I only need 7 points, and I could sweat really, really hard, or I could, get some editing done and sit here on this dock. All right, definitely gonna get my 4 points here. I'm gonna go ahead and fight this person and get my ass kicked, because that is the pattern at the moment. Yep, definitely died. All right, that's 7 total points, so we are done. Let's go summarize the cycle. Well, I'm here to sum up the chunk, and I got a genie. It happens surprisingly frequently. That on Slayer. Thank you, sir. Okay, it is the end of the cycle. Let's talk about what we got here. Here's our time played, 58 days, 19 hours. Tried to keep this on the screen for most of the cycle. It might take me a bit at the beginning to add it on there. The live split timer, 57 hours, 26 minutes. Quite a bit less than last cycle's 74 hours, but I also didn't spend a ton of time grinding, cooking, fletching, and crafting. Review the overall task list. Just pause if you want to see any of these in detail. Errors. I was feeling so good when the cycle was about halfway through. I'm like, I'm not going to make any errors this time, but I always make errors. I did make up for the extra baby impling and zombie last cycle. This time I overmined some pay dirt, I over pickpocketed guards, and I screwed up my count on women. Over pickpocketed a woman 28 times, so I'll make up for that next cycle. Again, implings. Next episode, I'll have your feedback, because there's going to be a 2-month gap between this episode and the next one. I'm not even going to start recording it for a couple more weeks. So I'll know whether I need to make up on implings, but I did catch one of each type this time. In farming, I did almost everything I could. I skipped some flowers and some hops. Okay, here's the XP gain for a cycle. Got about 1.2 million XP this time around. Pretty solid mining XP. This looks pretty standard. Let's look at the delta. So that's the change in my XP gain from this cycle compared to last cycle. See here, mining slightly up. That almost certainly is coming from the Falador Shooting Star. Attack is up because I've switched off of defense. Thieving is up from all the extra guards I was able to pickpocket from completing the East Falador chunk. I think actually we ended up doing a little bit better than I was expecting, but that's just from getting that 200 iron ore drop there towards the end. And Hunter is up by 910 XP because of those gourmet implings. So it's more XP, but it's not, earth-shattering. All right, we got more stuff to sum up here. Do the loot tracker scroll. And random events. I never know where to stop scrolling here. Talk about new items first. The builder set, which is useless. I might be able to store it in the costume room. I'm not sure. These tea flasks don't even stack in the bank, so I might keep one and throw out all the rest of them. 23 agility arena tickets. We'll be doing 23 of those every cycle. 5 chocolate cakes, 5 spices, 3 curry leaves, and some curry. Those are all from gourmet implings. The graceful gloves, which is exciting to finally have a graceful piece. These, I'm just going to decant them down to 1 dose. They're not technically new. 26 amethyst. All of these bolt tips. I combined bolt tips with as many of my existing bolts as possible just to try to squeeze out some extra fletching XP. I think the opal bolts were a mistake. I do have readier access to opals now via soil at the dig site, but it's still not worth turning them into tips. It's like almost no XP, and I might be able to use them for jewelry later. And this mystic lava staff. So let me clean this all up real quick. All right, let's do the slow bank scroll, slow-ish bank scroll. And the bank delta, this is the change in what's in my bank from last cycle to now. Way up on law runes, which is great to see. Mostly looking at law runes and coins here. Up 113k from Giant's Foundry. That's quite nice. I think that's everything to sum up. Let's go ahead and roll a new chunk. Okay, here we are at the chunk map. Don't forget we have these 2 chunks over here in Karend. Changes from last episode. We can now roll these 3 chunks around Brimhaven. I think I was already able to roll this one This is a fruit tree patch, which would be nice. It would not be a reroll. This has the Brimhaven dungeon in it, which has a lot of interesting monsters downstairs. It might take a really long time to clear that, though, and I don't know if I can clear it all in one cycle. It's going to be like the Stronghold of Security, so if we roll it, it's going to be pretty dangerous. There is a Calquat tree patch here that I will not be able to use for a long time, but it is a new node, so it would not be a reroll. And a couple other interesting things here. The shop, the jungle store is great because I can finally just get as many anti-poisons as I need. Once I complete the chunk, I suppose. Everything else I've talked about at great length. The only thing you need to know is that this is the most important chunk by an extremely long shot. The more I think about it, the more important this chunk becomes. Not only does it unlock herb lore, which lets us complete a whole bunch of other unrelated chunks, not only does it give us black dragons, which lets us make black d'hide gear, which will be great for when we get to training ranged, but being able to unlock herb lore will let me clean my Marin tills, which will let me use the altar in my house to train prayer, which I'm going to need to get my combat level up. So this is like super omega, please, please, please. I want it the most. It's becoming a really, really low chance, like a 1 in 53 now that we'll get it. So I'm not counting on it. Yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and pick a chunk here. Okay, I think this would have been... This would have required me to light a bonfire before, but all that's here are green dragons, and I already rolled green dragons up here in the Graveyard of Shadows. So yeah, I kind of like this idea of not doing the rerolls at the end of the episode and saving them for next episode, so the chunk is a bit of a mystery. So I'm going to go here next episode, kill the green dragons, and then roll another mystery chunk. And you'll see what that is in a couple months. Thanks everybody for joining. I'll see you next time. Bye.